The morning started like any other on the Kelly Clarkson Show. The studio lights glowed warmly, the band played a cheerful tune, and the audience erupted as Kelly introduced her guest, Trevor Noah. Known for his wit and charm, Trevor was there to promote his latest comedy tour. Smiles were exchanged, jokes were cracked, and the energy felt light. But beneath the laughter, subtle tension lingered, something that would soon turn the friendly chat into a fiery confrontation. As Kelly complimented Trevor's global success, she joked about his never-ending world tour schedule. Trevor laughed but replied, "Yeah, I'm always traveling, some people call it running away." The audience chuckled, but his tone carried an edge. Kelly, trying to keep it playful, said, "Hey, at least you're not running from interviews." Trevor smiled tightly, muttering, "Not yet." A brief silence followed before both laughed again, though the moment didn't quite land right. The interview pressed on, but there was a noticeable shift. Kelly asked about Trevor's perspective on fame and relationships, referring to a recent headline. "You've talked about loneliness before," she said softly. "Do you still feel that?" Trevor hesitated. "It's strange," he answered. "People think comedians are always happy, but that's rarely the case." His honesty was raw, but the tone grew heavier than the producers expected for daytime TV. Kelly tried to lighten it up. "Well, you hide it well," she quipped. Trevor chuckled, but then replied, "That's the thing, people love when you hide it. They don't want the truth, they want the smile." The comment drew a mixture of laughter and discomfort. Kelly blinked, unsure how to respond. "I think that's a little harsh," she said gently, to which Trevor responded, "Maybe, but it's true." The air thickened. Kelly attempted to steer the conversation back toward comedy, but Trevor wasn't done making his point. "I think talk shows sometimes push people into being cheerful," he said, "even when they're not." The crowd fell quiet. Kelly's smile faltered slightly as she said, "I promise you, we don't push anyone here." Trevor shrugged, replying, "Maybe not you personally, but TV does." The back and forth grew sharper. "You're on TV too," Kelly pointed out with a polite grin. "Yeah," Trevor replied calmly, "but I get to control the conversation." The comment landed like a jab. The audience reacted with a mix of gasps and awkward laughs. Kelly, still maintaining her composure, replied, "Well, this is your moment and you can control it right now." Trevor leaned back, crossing his arms with a smirk. "All right then," he said, "let's talk about how interviews sometimes twist what people mean." Kelly tilted her head, trying to keep things steady. "Are you saying I'm twisting your words?" she asked. "Not you," Trevor clarified, "just a broken bar the system." But the distinction was too late. The tension was visible. Producers backstage exchanged uneasy glances. The conversation was slipping from light entertainment into uncomfortable territory. Kelly, always the professional, smiled and said, "I think what you're saying is important, but I also think people watch shows like this to feel good." Trevor shot back, "And maybe that's the problem. We avoid the truth to feel comfortable." The crowd grew restless. Some applauded his candor, while others fidgeted in their seats. Kelly, visibly trying to regain control, said, "You know, I respect your honesty, but I think there's room for both truth and joy." Trevor replied quickly, "Not if the truth makes people uncomfortable." That line hit hard, and for a moment, the only sound was the faint hum of the lights. The exchange continued until Kelly's co-host tried to interject with a lighter topic, but Trevor interrupted. "No, let's stay on this," he said firmly. "It's real." Kelly blinked, clearly not expecting that. "Okay," she said carefully, "then tell me what truth do you think people aren't ready to hear?" Trevor looked directly at her and replied, "That not every smile means happiness." The audience gasped softly. The air had turned electric. Kelly nodded slowly, saying, "That's powerful, but I think your fans would disagree. You make people happy." Trevor sighed. "That's the irony," he said. "People love you for what you give them, not for who you are." It was deep, maybe too deep for daytime TV, and Kelly seemed caught off guard. "I think that's a bit cynical," she replied gently. Trevor smiled faintly. "Maybe it's just honest," he said. The tension lingered as Kelly tried to close the segment gracefully. "Well, we always appreciate honesty here," she said with a forced laugh. "It keeps things interesting." Trevor leaned forward. "Yeah, maybe too interesting." The audience chuckled nervously, unsure how to interpret the moment. As they prepared for the musical break, Kelly thanked Trevor for keeping it real, but he stayed unusually silent. Cameras panned to his face, showing a distant expression. When they went off-air for the break, witnesses later claimed Trevor stood up, removed his mic, and said softly, "I think I'm done." Kelly looked surprised as he walked backstage. When the show returned, Kelly was alone on set. "We had a passionate conversation just now," she told the audience, "and sometimes, emotions run high. But that's part of being human." Her professionalism earned applause, though viewers could see the unease behind her calm demeanor. Clips of Trevor's exit spread online within minutes. By afternoon, social media exploded. Hashtags like #TrevorNoah, #Kelly Clarkson Show, and #WalkOff Moment began trending. Fans debated who was right. Some called Trevor brave for speaking his truth, while others criticized him for being disrespectful. "He could have handled it better," one tweet read. Another countered, "He just said what everyone feels but never says." That evening, entertainment news outlets picked up the story. Headlines blared, "Trevor Noah walks off Kelly Clarkson show after tense interview." Analysts debated whether it was real frustration or a publicity stunt. Behind the scenes, sources close to production insisted it wasn't staged and you could feel it. One crew member said that moment was real. Kelly's team quickly issued a short statement. "Kelly Clarkson values open conversation and respects every guest's perspective. We wish Trevor Noah nothing but the best." It was neutral, professional, and carefully worded. But the online world wasn't satisfied. Fans demanded Trevor's side of the story. A day later, Trevor broke his silence on Instagram Live. Sitting in a quiet room, he said, "I didn't storm off in anger. I left because I didn't want to say something I'd regret. Sometimes walking away is the mature choice." The clip went viral again, earning praise for his calm reflection. Still, the narrative was already out of his hands. Kelly addressed the topic briefly on her show the following week. "I think we both came from a place of honesty," she said. "Sometimes emotions just collide." Her humility earned her massive support, with fans commenting that she handled the situation with grace and heart. Meanwhile, Trevor's fans respected his authenticity. What could have been a scandal slowly transformed into a lesson about communication and emotional boundaries. Experts praised both stars for handling the aftermath with maturity. "It shows that conflict doesn't have to lead to chaos," one media psychologist said. "It can lead to understanding." Weeks later, Trevor appeared on a podcast and spoke more openly. "Kelly's great," he said. "We just had one of those moments where two people see things differently." The comment put rumors to rest. He explained that his goal was never confrontation, it was conversation. Fans appreciated his honesty, saying it reminded them why they admired him in the first place. Kelly later revealed in an interview that she reached out privately to Trevor afterward. "I didn't want any bad blood," she said. "We both care about truth, and that's why it got so passionate." That revelation warmed fans' hearts, showing that both stars respected each other beyond the headlines. Months passed, and the incident became one of those unforgettable talk show moments that defined the year. Clips resurfaced on TikTok under captions like "Realest interview ever" and "When honesty meets television." People admired how raw it was, uncomfortable, but deeply human. Producers later admitted that the episode, while tense, drew record-breaking viewership. "It wasn't the moment we planned," one said, "but it was the moment everyone remembered." Ratings spiked, and both Kelly and Trevor's teams saw their social engagement skyrocket in the weeks that followed. When asked about it in a future interview, Kelly smiled and said, "I think it taught me something, that real conversation doesn't always go smoothly, and that's okay." Trevor echoed her sentiment in another appearance, saying, "We both handled it the best way we could." The tension had turned into mutual growth. In time, fans began calling for a reunion. Comment sections filled with requests like, "We need Trevor back on Kelly's show for a part 2. The buzz became so strong that producers eventually reached out to Trevor's team to propose a follow-up appearance. To everyone's surprise, he agreed. When Trevor returned months later, the episode opened with laughter. Kelly greeted him warmly, saying, "We're back, and no walk-offs today." Trevor grinned, replying, "No promises." The crowd roared with laughter. The energy was lighter this time, but the authenticity remained. Both had learned to embrace the unpredictability of live conversation. Their new interview went viral again, but this time for all the right reasons. The pair joked about their first encounter, turning tension into humor. Kelly said, "I think we both needed that first moment to get here." Trevor agreed, "Yeah, it made this one real." The audience gave the standing ovation. Critics praised the reunion as a masterclass in emotional maturity. Two professionals showing how to disagree, reconcile, and move forward. One review read, "Fans celebrated the friendship that emerged from the chaos." The clip became one of the most viewed interviews of the year. In the end, the story of Trevor Noah and Kelly Clarkson wasn't about conflict, it was about connection. What began as a fiery exchange became a testament to honesty, humility, and growth. Both stars proved that even on live television, authenticity can turn a moment of tension into something timeless. It became one of the most memorable talk show stories in modern entertainment. In the months following the reunion, media outlets continued referencing the Trevor and Kelly moment as an example of how vulnerability could coexist with fame. Talk shows and podcasts analyzed it endlessly, dissecting every pause, every facial expression. For once, the internet wasn't mocking two celebrities in conflict, it was applauding them for showing that even public figures can have uncomfortable yet necessary conversations. Trevor used the experience as material in one of his new stand-up specials. In a segment titled Talk Show Therapy, he joked about how walking off a set can sometimes fix your soul faster than yoga. The crowd erupted in laughter. Recognizing the reference, he handled the story with humor and self-awareness, turning a tense moment into a universally relatable one about stress, expectations, and staying true to yourself. Kelly, on her end, mentioned the incident during a backstage vlog on her YouTube channel. "That day was wild," she said, laughing. "But honestly, it reminded me why I love live TV, because you can't fake real human emotion." Her transparency won fans over even more, reinforcing her reputation as one of the most authentic hosts in daytime television. Fans from both camps began celebrating the way they turned awkwardness into mutual respect. Online communities created edits of their interviews side by side, the first filled with tension, the second full of laughter. The transformation symbolized emotional growth, and many users commented, "This is how adults handle conflict." It quickly became one of the most shared positive celebrity narratives of the year. When award season arrived, the Kelly Clarkson Show was nominated for Outstanding Talk Show Moment. Though not an official category, the viral exchange had generated so much buzz that producers included it in montage clips during industry events. Kelly laughed about it during a red carpet interview, saying, "If walking off makes good TV, maybe I should start doing it too." Trevor was later asked on a late-night show whether he regretted leaving that day. He smiled and said, "Not at all. It gave me clarity and gave the internet a field day." His calm humor disarmed the audience, proving he'd made peace with the entire incident. The host replied, "You handled it like a pro," to which Trevor quipped, "Walking off with dignity is a skill." Over time, both Kelly and Trevor became symbols of emotional intelligence in media. Universities and communication experts even cited their interaction in studies about authenticity in celebrity culture. The viral moment transcended gossip and became a lesson in media literacy, showing audiences that even public exchanges can carry deep personal truths. Brands noticed the positive publicity too. Streaming platforms re-aired both episodes, promoting them as the conversation everyone's still talking about. Viewers revisited the interviews, this time focusing not on the conflict, but the humanity behind it. Comments flooded in from people who said the discussion helped them reflect on their own communication struggles. Meanwhile, Kelly invited several other comedians and public figures to talk about emotional honesty in entertainment. She often referenced Trevor's episode as a turning point for her show. "That moment made me braver as a host," she said during one broadcast. "It showed me that not every segment has to be perfectly smooth, it just has to be real." Trevor's tour gained new traction after the event, with fans attending shows not just for laughs but for insight. His jokes about fame, pressure, and vulnerability resonated deeper than before. Audiences described him as funnier and wiser, someone who could turn tension into truth without losing his charisma. The confrontation had, ironically, made him more relatable. As 2025 rolled on, retrospectives about viral moments of the decade listed their interview among the top 10. Commentators noted that it broke the mold of overly rehearsed television. People saw two genuine humans trying to communicate under pressure, one critic wrote. That's rare, and that's why it stayed in public memory. A few months later, Kelly and Trevor reunited once again at an awards ceremony. Cameras caught them greeting each other warmly, sharing a short hug before the event began. The image circulated online instantly, captioned "A full circle moment." Fans flooded social media with heart emojis, writing, "This is what reconciliation looks like." It became another viral hit. In a later documentary about modern talk shows, producers included the Trevor Kelly episode as a case study in emotional authenticity. Kelly narrated a small segment herself, saying, "Sometimes, the best interviews are the ones that don't go as planned." Trevor's voice was included too. "It's not about being perfect, it's about being honest enough to walk away and strong enough to come back." Years later, both stars continued to reflect positively on the event. In a heartfelt podcast conversation, Kelly said, "I think that moment made me respect Trevor even more. We were both passionate people in a charged conversation, and somehow, that turned into understanding." Trevor responded, "I agree. It showed me how empathy can turn conflict into connection." The clip went viral once again, proving their chemistry was timeless. In the end, the world stopped viewing that day as a scandal. Instead, it became a symbol of growth, maturity, and courage. The fiery confrontation that began as tension ended as a testament to communication and compassion. Fans still remember it not for the walk-off, but for what came after. Two people showing that even in the spotlight, honesty and respect can outshine any moment of friction.